Welcome back to the channel, and I hope you all are having a nice afternoon. So today we want to talk about liquid loans. Ultimately, we want to discuss what's going to be the price prediction of liquid loans, and you know, price predictions being very controversial, uh, very difficult uh, to pinpoint what the price is going to be, and of course, as always, any sacrifice made to liquid loans and many of these projects in the post ecosystem are done so with no expectation of profit, which means that you're sacrificing political statement and hope that you're going to receive cryptocurrencies for doing so. Many of us in these ecosystems, know the drill. We understand these things. But the bottom line is you can lose a great portion of the money that you sacrifice, or you can lose all of it, right? It is part of the risk reward system. You're risking, that. And so we have to get that part out of the way just so you understand this is how the crypto game works. Now that we're past that, let's speculate a bit about what's going to be some calculations, some ideas about what the price of liquid loans can be over the next several weeks after launch, months, years. We're going to try to cover some of those ideas in this video. Um, because I think a lot of people are going, okay, well, what's the point of sacrificing the liquid loans, getting involved with liquid loans? But first, let's just talk about first what liquid loans is, right? Everything's created, depending on its purpose, is going to make sense to as to why we would need to use it at all. So what we've understood in the post ecosystem is if you don't sell the cryptocurrency, if you can hold off on short-term gratification, which is quite difficult in cryptocurrency. Most people can't do this in cryptocurrencies. Most people want to trade, turn a quick profit, drop all the risk, and get out. But there are advantages to being a holler in some cryptocurrencies, although maybe not all. If we're fortunate enough to pick the correct ones, they can be very lucrative and we can make a great deal of money in them, right? And these projects in the post ecosystem all seem to follow that idea. They all seem to have that tenet, that creed, that they all are about holding off on short-term gratification. And if you can't hold off on short-term gratification, I could tell you right away, these projects are probably not for you, right? These projects follow more so the idea of how standard real investing works, not gambling, not high risk type things, right? This is more like the big leagues here, how the big boys do it. But anyway, let's try to get some idea why liquid loans is going to be so important, what the price is going to be. Liquid loans, much like the name sounds, it is the ability or is a service, a product that allows you to borrow against your cryptocurrency over the blockchain, right? This is decentralized where nobody is able to control it. And that's obviously a good thing. It's in the heart of decentralized finance, right? And it can be very useful, especially in the idea of you wanting asset classes to appreciate, specifically like polls. If you don't have to sell any polls, the only way it can really go down typically is by a lot of sell pressure. If nobody's selling yet, then that means that the price isn't going down, right? So what's happening instead, right? Well, what's happening instead is people are able to sell by proxy the liquid loan cryptocurrency, right? The token, or I'm sorry, not the token, but there are two things. The stable coin, right? The token is independent of the stable coin, right? So that's what we have to understand, that it's really like two tokens. You're going to get the actual token, um, and you're going to sell, or I'm sorry, borrow against your post in a stable coin they create called the liquid loan cryptocurrency. That is um, basically backed by a basket of other stable coins. Now, what happens with the liquid loans token that we will be receiving through the sacrifice is that this token is basically gaining value through the fees, the loan fees that are being called in and paid to the liquid loan token. And the value of that, the right to that token, is being paid out in either the stable coin or post itself, right? So you can actually collect post itself from this thing when the loans are called in, right? But it's still alleviating a lot of sell pressure from post itself. So it's a very interesting concept. Makes a lot of sense. I think it's a great product, and it's certainly one that I think is a good idea to be a part of. Um, the other part is that if you can do that, right, if you can get all these loan fees, right, because what can happen, people borrow against their polls, they have to pay a fee on that, right? So as that comes due, they have to make sure they have enough posts to collateralize that. And as they're spending that money, that liquid loan money, that post, and they're getting staking rewards, right, from that pool. They're from the tokens they hold, which can be staked to earn this post and this stable dollar. That is the liquid loan dollar, right? Um, Sounds a little bit complicated, but it's actually pretty simple, right? So, just the important parts to take into consideration is that think of it like you're part of a bank, right? This decentralized bank, and you're holding stake in that bank, and you're being paid the fees on these loans, right? These loans that are coming due based on the value and the fees paid back into the system, right, to borrow the money. Post is not being sold. You're collecting post that's going up in value, but not only is the post being able to go up in value from this, it's pulling up the liquid loans token with it. So they're joined at the hip, right? They're going up together. Uh, they are trading amongst each other, but they're gaining value together, right? And that's what's creating a tremendous value in this liquid loans token. Now you kind of have a picture of what's going on with it, right? What are some ideas about what the price is going to look like? How are we going to do with the price, right? So, what we have to understand about liquid loans is liquid loans is a fork of something called liquidity on Ethereum, and we're taking a look at the price of the cryptocurrency. Um, Now, as we're glancing back into 2019, one of the highest prices I could find that it was able to obtain was just over 12 cents, right? Now, keep in mind with liquid loans, especially if you're within the first several days of the sacrifice phase, you're able to receive what would be 10,000 points, right, of the liquid loans token. So it's very similar to how the other sacrifices works, Pulse and PulseX, which means you're getting something like 10,000 of the tokens per dollar that you sacrifice, right? So it's like 10,000 of these things, right? So one on liquidity was able to get up to 12 cents, right? Now think about that for a minute. That represents about, it's something like a 1,200%. It would be something like a 1,200% return from the sacrifice period, right? 1,200% in 1,200 times, right? 1,200 times rather the your sacrifice period, right? So here's what I think about that. Taking all this to consideration, that it is likely that Pulse is probably going to perform very well. It's going to pull the Liquid Loans token up with it. Um, the Pulse token is coin is projected to, by many accounts, to go to 10,000%. Even if Liquid Loans doesn't do the same as Pulse, whereas I think it has a good chance of coming close. But let's just say it only does about 20% of that, right? Because looking at Liquid Loans able to get to uh, 1,200 times that it's that value, or hit these prices, and it doesn't have many of the capabilities and situation that the Post chain has, right? Being a new chain, being very low fee, being a lot of hype behind it, one of the biggest and only talked about projects in cryptocurrency right now. So let's just say, on a kind of conservative level, let's just say it does about 20 cents per uh, 20 cents per coin, right? So that would represent about 2,000 uh, 2,000 times, right? What would be your initial sacrifice period, right? That's still pretty darn good. That's like 20%. And what this can provide a good opportunity for as well is like people who have missed the post sacrifice, like many have, people who have missed the post sacrifice. This could still put you in a very, very good position, um, you know, over, over the next several months. Also important to keep in mind is that similar products like liquidity, what Liquid Loans is based on, in just the first 2 weeks alone, did close to 100x, right? In just the first few weeks, did like 100x, right? So imagine that for every dollar you spent, if you had a similar situation like that, I believe it did something like 86 times. It went up like 86 times. Imagine making something like $86 on every dollar you sacrifice within the first 2 weeks, right? That is a great return in the first few weeks, right? So you wouldn't need, if you sacrifice $1,000, that'd be like $86,000, right? That would be amazing, right? In just the first 2 weeks. So, yeah, definitely something to look forward to. I'm going to say about 20 cents. Now, what kind of time frame are we looking at here? Well, let's see here. I would just speculate and take a guess. It will follow a lot of the jumps uh in pulse over the month. So uh let's say if we're saying that it's going to go up about 20%, the value of Pulse, let's say if Pulse did 100x in the first 3 months, right? Then you're looking at um, this project that would have done, uh, easily 20 times in the first few months, right? And probably within the first year, probably easily 100x or something like that, right? So by the second year, might start to hit into those thousands. So I would just pretty much put it on par with many of the predictions about polls. Maybe a year and a half, you can see over 2,000% returns, right? 2,000 times. So that would be like $2,000 on every dollar you sacrifice the first year and a half. And that could be very, very good for people who have missed the post sacrifice, the post sacrifice, because it's probably going to be hard to do that, as people are probably not going to want to sell, much lower than that. But there are also going to be many other things you have to factor onto that, like what you're earning from these. You're going to also be earning all that stake pulse, right, on top of that. And when by the time you add that in, that could make those numbers go up. It could be maybe increase twice as much, right? um, and value in your position and stake, right? Overall. So very interesting. I think this project is going to turn out to be very well. I think it's going to be well funded because it does have a referral program as well. So it's incentivizing a lot of people to market for it. And so it's going to be a lot of good things happen with this project, right? But that's all I want to say in this video. If you like content like this, don't forget to like, subscribe. Until next time, as always, take care of yourselves and each other.